Guys, welcome in to GRP episode number 7, brought to you by Outlaw Chassis Engineering. They are body, chassis, and suspension specialists. Give Brett and the guys a call at 205-522-7759. This weekend I had some guys come to me, and I've told you that if you want to get introduced to these guys, come to me and I'll take you to them. I've said it a couple times this year, and it's happened, and I know in a case of two people that are doing much better because these guys are helping them. I can't stress it enough that your car doesn't have to look bad just because, say you don't know how to do something. These are the guys that'll teach you how. Now, it's going to cost you up front, but you'll know how to do it in the long run. These are not guys that's just there to get your money. They love short track racing. They're going to be reasonable with you. They're going to take care of you when it comes to performance of the car, handling, body, suspension, all of those things. They'll tell you up front if they can help you. If they can't help you, they'll tell you they can't. And then if they can help you, they're even willing to teach you how and help you along the way. So give Brett and the guys a call at Outlaw Chassis Engineering, 205-522-7759. Again, they're body, chassis, and suspension specialists. They can get your car dialed in, have it turning left. And come to me. I will take you and introduce you to Brett. If you don't know who they are, it's the 93 car. It's the big hauler that usually carries 3 cars. They may or may not be there this weekend. But if they're not and you want to get in contact with them, you can come directly to me. I will get you in contact with Brett. I'll get your number. I'll give your number to Brett, have Brett call you, or I'll ask Brett if it's okay to give you the number, which we already do. So I'll just give you his personal cell again, 205-522-7759. He's got it out there. He's here for you. They're in Cordova, so they're not that far away. And if you guys want to watch some of the stuff that they do online, look on Facebook, look up Outlaw Chassis Engineering. You'll see that there's a picture of 3 cars, one big car hauler, and on all 3 race cars are on it. It starts with the 93, I believe it goes 20 car, and then the number 9. So you'll see, and there's a guy in that picture as well. So yeah, come to me. Let me get you out there with them. Preferably when I'm not in the car. That'd be the safest bet. Come to me when we're in the pits. So that was a bad dad joke, right? So my daughter's already embarrassed. It's a very eventful week. I'm excited to watch some of these races play out. Or I was excited to watch some of them play out, and I didn't get to because we got protested after our race. But I watched the Buzz race, and we're going to go ahead and start out. I watched the Buzz race, and I watched 2 drivers that, one I would call a veteran. Jonathan Eustace is probably what I would consider a veteran in the Buzz division. And then the number 3 car of Matt Smith, which I would consider a rookie. He's running for rookie at Sayre. He has raced at Jasper, but not. He hadn't raced enough to not be considered a rookie at Sayre Speedway. Those guys drove outstanding races. The 3 car made passes coming from the rear. He had to start the rear because he won last week. Jonathan lays down another win. The 7 car was there of Jimmy Hudson. Ran a great race. But watching Jonathan in the past, when he saw a fast car get behind him, he would have recognized it and then raced accordingly. He didn't do that Saturday. In my opinion, he ran his line. He stayed consistent. Matt Smith's been fast and getting faster, and I don't think it affected Jonathan, which is a really good thing. Once you get to that certain point where the car behind you doesn't affect you, that's really good mentality to have when you're racing. And it's hard to break yourself from worrying about a car being faster and changing your line, killing your car's momentum. I watched Matt Smith enter the corner in a passing lane multiple times before he was to Jonathan. And if he'd have stayed high, he probably would have caught him faster. And that just comes from experience. Stay high. Get to the point where you're at them before you try to pass them. And he's going to learn that. And he's going to be a great, great driver. He's got that car doing much better. It's a really good car. He's a really good guy. Jonathan did a great job as well. So Jonathan won. Matt Smith ran right there in second. the Pure Street race was probably one of the most exciting one laps that we've seen all year, and that being with Carter Murray started deep in the field. I believe he started last. Hunter Bobo started up front. The 76 started up front. Dadgummit, the 76 broke. I hate the luck that he's had this year, because I know he can compete on the level that Hunter and Carter did this week. I know he can. We've watched him do it. It's one of those guys that's had a tough year. Not in a life standpoint, but in the race car. He's got a new career, doing good, everything's going good, and just can't get the car to do what he needs the car to do, because we know he can put it up front. They just got to work the kinks out of it. Whatever's going on, whatever's happening there, they got to work the kinks out of it. And hopefully next year they'll be able to get that done. They may be back this week, I'm not sure. But I hated that for the 76. But Hunter Bobo took out. He did. He got out there. Watching Chad Bearden in the 75 car is he's a great driver. Seems to be the third or fourth time I've seen him in that car. Chase Bradlin owned it, and I think he bought it from the Pierce, the guy that used to own the car that Pierce drove, the number 2 car. And Chase Bradlin drove it a while, and now Chad Bearden's got it. And the car, and I may be wrong, that may not be that car, but I'm almost positive that it is one of their cars. That I think it was a number 2, if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, Chase had it, made it the 75, and now that's right, because the 29 car in the Super Street used to be Robert Vines, and that was the one I kept getting it confused with. So, yes, it is the old number 2 car that one of the Pierce brothers used to drive. I can't think, Leonard, I think, owned it. But now Chad Bearden's got it and seems to be doing great with it. He ran a pretty good race as well. Carter Murray had to work by some pretty fast cars, and by the time he caught Hunter Bobo, it was coming underneath about 2 or 3 to go. When they took the white flag, Hunter Bobo pulled the no-no, and he swept the corner like Carter Murray wasn't even there. And Carter stuck it under him all the way down, door to door, into the center of the corner, came out on top smelling like a rose. It was a battle amongst 2 cars that come out of the same garage. Hunter Bobo was driving the 5-1. It's a white car, and Carter was driving what he's been driving all year, the 5 red and white. Hunter Bobo, losing that race, also lost Carter's brother, Cameron's hairdo. So y'all will see him walking around here bald-headed because he made a bet with Carter that Bobo couldn't beat him. That Bobo could beat him, and Carter said he can't. So he ran him down and beat him. So 2 cars out of the same garage, and Carter came from the back and beat him on the last lap. So Hunter drove a great race, Hunter Bobo, and Carter just proved to be dominant again. So that was the Pure Street. Checking my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything there. But, man, the next race that we had, or the next race we're going to talk about, is a Super Street race, and it was no doubt probably one of the most eventful races amongst 2 drivers that's been around all year. So Austin and Chase have been putting up lap time after lap time, getting better and better to outrun the other guy. Both of them's won this year. And I'll tell you, probably the 40 car, there was a wreck. Anyways, there was a wreck. And I'm trying to choose words wisely here because I don't know what happened completely. I watched the video, which the video from where I was watching was a chaotic video of going off into turn 1 and 2. But it looked like the 30 car stuck it under the 40. Now, did he have enough? I couldn't see from the video, and we was tearing my motor down. So I'm really coming off the cuff with this and saying, I don't know. This is not one of those times I can speak on what happened going into 1 and 2, entering 1 and coming out of 2. because I wasn't there watching the race like I normally would have been to be able to see what happened. But I do know that the 40 car didn't come out. 30 and 40 went in, 40 did not come out. There's been a lot of contact between those two. The last three or four races that they've raced against each other, there's been contact. The 30 car's lightning fast, the 40 car's really fast. I don't know what to take of the total overall of what's happened. Both guys are good guys. I don't know what to take. I don't know what to take from it. I don't understand. They just got a magnet for each other right now, and that gravity field is pulling hard, hard, hard. There is a, as some people would say, a lack of respect across the board with drivers, but I don't think either one of those drivers are just like throw your hands up, forget it kind of guys. They haven't been. I know Austin hit him under the caution and all. It didn't seem outrageous. He didn't just floorboard it down into him or anything. In that video, he showed his displeasure of getting spun out. And on the last lap, got spun out. The 30 car won. Austin came around and hit him, and he served his time for it. He said it's 2 weeks out. But I don't understand how they're both fast cars. Is why they keep finding each other. No give or take. It seems like there's no give or take. Like I said, I didn't see exactly that incident, so I can't speak on that. But I do know there's been some taking and there's been some giving, and it's all been in the same corner with those two guys. So I don't know what to think of it. The 112 got the worst end of the stick. The 40 seemed to give the 30 a shove coming to the green there. At first, the way they said it happened, the way not either one of those guys, but some people, as I was standing there, I turned around and saw the 112 being drugged through the pits by the record, and I was like, man, what happened? And they said, the 40 shoved the 30 through the 112. It didn't look that out of control. On the video, if you watch, a shout out to Naomi Jones, she videos right there in that corner, and her video did not seem to show necessarily that the 40 just rammed him and continued to ram him. So be your own judge. Go watch that video and kind of tell me what you think, because I didn't see it from my perspective as the 40 car just flat out redlined into the 30, into the 112, and then continued to shove. Like somebody said in the video, it seemed like they wasn't even still connected. The 40 and 30 were not still connected. Maybe the 112 got in the brake hard, and that kicked the car up the track because of what looked to be, if they'd have just been going the way you come out of that corner on a restart, you would just think that the maximum would have been a spin out, but the 30 might have been trying to come down the track, and which right hooked to the 112. But I just don't know. I just don't know what to take from that one either, because the video doesn't show it clear enough. Where I stand normally, I would have been able to see if the 30 car's tires were turned to the left. Did the initial bump set the 112 sideways, and then he corrected, and when they hit him again, it shoved him into the wall? I don't know. I'd like to hear from those guys. Mainly Drew. I'd like to hear from Drew. Did he feel a hard shove all the way through? And not to say who was shoving or who wasn't shoving, but I don't think he was, no offense to Drew, but I don't think he was he wasn't a threat for the 30 to need to take him out. And I don't think that the 40 was flat redlining the tack, sending the 30 into him full enough throttle. So it could have just been a little twist in the steering wheel, and he may have locked up the brakes and it sent him up into the wall. I don't know. I didn't get to see it live action, and you can't make a lot out of the video as far as there was nobody going for a pass and the video wasn't right there. If it would have been a passing move coming into there, you can tell who was deep enough or who wasn't. But as far as you can hear them wind up the gas, you can see them all three make contact, and then you see the 112 just bounce off the wall head first, which is never good, and they always have a really sharp car. And it seemed like they was getting it to come around. The car seemed pretty quick all day. But like I said, I wasn't getting to watch that race because I was watching my motor get tore down. I wasn't tearing it down. So that's the Super Street King of Dixie, and the 30 car won the King of Dixie after Wesley led almost all of it. He led a pretty big slice of the race, and it was gonna be a good race. I felt like between the 38 and the 30, and the 38 car just fell off. Wesley's car fell off. But the 30 Sean, he can be consistently fast, and he done a good job. He done a really good job all year. So man, the next big deal was the open wheel, and there was high flyers. There's some guys that probably getting paid by American Airlines how many miles they've traveled, and rookies was in that class as well. So Kyle Moore started on the inside, John Thomas started on the outside. I got to watch some of this race because what I thought I saw was a fighter jet go down the front straightaway, and it was red, and the 47 car was, as we would call it, he was hauling the mail. They stamped at UPS, and he delivered it. He delivered it same day. The 47 car, I don't know what to say other than he was definitely the dominant car during the race. I believe, and this is my opinion, I believe Augie would have had something for him. So here was a list of the lineup that was in there. Augie was the fastest qualifier. The 77 of Jimmy Chute, Tyler Rice in the 83, Brandon Curran in the double zero, Matthew Martin in the 168, and a host of other guys. I mean, a bunch of other guys. And what I thought would be with Kyle Moore, Derek Moore, I would consider Derek a rookie in the big modified. Tyler Rice a rookie. That's why I say there were some rookies. Jimmy Chute, Augie, Brandon Curran, obviously not rookies. Really good drivers, been around the track. Matthew Martin isn't a rookie, of course. But man, Foots Kaiser in the 14 car he's always had a good car. You put Augie in it, they set the fast time in qualifying. It's one of those reasons why I believe personally, if you qualify the cars, let them start where they qualify. It's just my opinion. We don't get paid an entertainment fee to have stuff like this happen to the car. Period. Rolling the dice, pulling the straws, doing whatever you're going to do, it makes for entertainment. But at the end of the night, if you pass 19 cars, or say you roll a 6, because that's as big as you can roll. We'll just be realistic about it. If you roll a 6, there's not a $10 per car passing fee that you get paid. There's not the crowd was on their feet all night. Tell me, I mean, I don't understand the rolling the dice other than for entertainment. And this is just my opinion, and I think a lot of guys agree with it. But if you go out there and qualify third, you get to start second row inside. Say you get to start second row inside. You made changes after qualifying to make your car faster, or you're just not a one-lap hitter. It's not about entertainment. We don't go over there to entertain. The track wants entertainment because it's good for the fans. What's not good for the drivers is when something like this happens to Jimmy Chute or Augie's car, because both of those cars was really quick. I want to say Jimmy Chute was either second or third fastest qualifier, and I may be bad off on that, but the way it looked like the invert would have happened would have been Augie, somebody else, and then Jimmy Chute, if I'm not mistaken. But I'll tell you, I'm not for rolling the dice. I'm not against it. I don't mind to roll the dice and all that. It's not a big deal. A lot of times it's not a big deal. The cream's going to rise to the top most of the time. If you've watched like Adam qualify in our class and he rolls a 6, 2 or 3 laps, he's out there. We've watched guys like, well, I don't think I've ever seen Barry start off the front row. That's a shot. I'm just joking. That is an absolute That's a joke. If Barry starts sixth, he works his way through the field a little bit more methodically, so it may take him 6 or 7 laps to get to second or third, and then it would take him another 5 laps on the second place guy and another 15 or 20 laps on the guy that's out front leading, that's got confident and got set in his groove. So you watch guys pick through the field more reasonably, and then you watch guys that's just lightning fast off the bottom, can get up to you before you get to the flag stand, and they're gone. You watch some of the races back when there was 18, 19 cars. You watch Roy Umber, Harlan, or even my dad in 07, 08. When they start in the back of the field like that, they just pick them off. Boom, boom, boom. Sometimes 2 or 3 a lap. I mean, because those cars were not competitive until you get up to 4th or 5th place, and then it takes a couple more laps to get by those last few guys. But you watch them pick through them. Yes, I understand if when Roy Umber was running a 14:20, when Adam was running a 14:30, if they qualify that kind of lap time and they can go set that lap time consistently, they're going to melee you. Still not fair for them to bust 2 or 3 tires coming through the field to have to put on entertainment, because there is no entertainment fee. You don't get paid for it, and that's I continue to say an entertainment fee, and I don't think that we should get paid anything like that. We're racing, we're paying to get in, we're racing for some money, and that's what we're racing for. What I don't get when it happens like with these open wheels and all, if they don't have to start the rear when they win, don't make them roll the dice when they qualify. It's just my thoughts. Because and every track may do that. I don't know. I don't know what South Alabama does. I don't know what Montgomery does. And like my daddy would say, we ain't at South Alabama. We ain't at Montgomery. We're at Sayre Speedway, and this is what they go by, and this is what we have to do if we want to race here. I understand that. This isn't a change the rules for Jody kind of deal, but it does not sometimes make sense to me, some of the things that we do. And like Brandon Parker says, I can talk to him about it if I want to. But it is for entertainment. I understand that, being a part of a business and being a business owner, you have to do sometimes what's better for the customer. And we're not necessarily the customer. We're the unpaid entertainment. And racing across the board is a place where entertainment's not paid at the value of their entertainment. You have to go earn it. So it is a earned entertainment fee is what I would call that victory. And we get a trophy sometimes if you win. So yeah, the 77 and 14, they meleeed. There were some cars that just absolutely got destroyed. They was back and forth a couple of laps. Augie was very fast on center entrance and went to go under the 77, and I think it was a misjudgment of the front right tire. Got into the left rear tire of the 77, of the 777, excuse me, and man, tore up a couple of really good cars. Watching them fight the 14, getting it in the box, watching them fight the 77, it's just disaster. It's like a hurricane came through and tore up 2 cars sitting in the garage. I really thought Augie was going to, this is where I said earlier that I thought the fans thought it would go different than it did. I thought Augie was going to be the king of Dixie. I think he was the only one that had something for the 47. Just my thoughts, watching them race throughout the year, knowing Augie, knowing how fast he can be if he could get out there and set a pace. And I say that after I watched a little bit of the race. Kyle Moore's usually lights out. If he started on the pole like that, the 47 car seemed to not need to handle. I can tell you that. The thing could have been on ice skates. It had the motor. Point it straight, jam it to the floor, hold on to the other end, and turn it and go back the other way. That car runs 6 seconds at the drag strip. It was extremely fast. So congratulations to John Thomas, number one. It was comical watching him go through 1 and 2 in the video that I watched, but man, it was fast. He was about 2 grooves too high on exit coming out of 1 and 2, and that's usually a no-no. It didn't matter. Once that thing turned and got it pointed towards 3, he matted it and it was gone. He set he set the world on fire Saturday night in that 47 car. It was bad fast down the straightaway. I don't think he could have turned it in a 40-acre field, but it was hammering fast enough down the straightaway. He didn't need it to. He had the tires hooked up, whatever. When he got in the gas, she took out like a shot, and it was running. Very untraditional driving lane for the 47 for Sayre Speedway. And boys and girls, that goes to show you, you ain't always got to be running right behind that other guy in that division. That joker took out, and he was running. Really, at one point, looked like he was chasing the trees down the back straightaway in the video, and I can't stop thinking about how that thing would come out of the corner pointed towards the trees, and it would turn late, and it would just run. And if y'all haven't watched it, go watch Melanie Umber's video of the open wheels. Man, I mean, do it like this. If you saw anybody else be that fast in that line, please comment and tell me. I've never seen anybody come into one low like normal. It didn't turn through the center. It's like he went up there and turned around a box and took out down the back straightaway. And the rake on that car was unbelievable. It actually looks like this. If you want to see what the 47 car does, just strap a 47 number on the side of that, and that joker was hammering. But it looked weird watching a car run that line and be that fast. But like I said, congratulations to John Thomas. Matthew ran second. It was one of those nights that something people would say, bury this, bury that. Don't take nothing away from that man. He was cutting out. He was running. He was really, really good. I don't know if that line would have mattered no matter who was behind him. Augie Cummins set a really fast time. I think Barry, as always, Barry could compete. Barry wasn't there for people that wasn't there listening. They're watching now. Barry wasn't racing. He was there, but he was in the press box, and I need to get his opinion on what he thought about John Thomas's very, very unorthodox line at Sayre Speedway. But congratulations. Car was fast. I don't think anybody could have beat you that night, and I know they couldn't have because they didn't. And it drew a great amount of cars. I'm really excited to see that amount of open wheels show up when they do. Not only because I like the cars, I like the way they look, but I also like the feel kind of that many open wheels being in the pits. You're usually around some really good competitors if that many guys are in the pits. I'm interested to see, can we keep that up throughout next year, and are those cars not coming because Barry hadn't been coming? I don't think so. I don't think Augie's intimidated of Barry. I don't think John Thomas is intimidated of Barry. I don't think Brandon Curry is intimidated of Barry being there. I think they came to compete with Barry because of the win streak he had been on, and some attention was brought to that. I don't really know if they came and Gary Sanford Jr. wasn't there. It's interesting to see how many more cars would come if you saw some bigger name competitors come and compete like John Thomas, Augie. Jimmy Schutz comes all the time. And what also is some of these young guys that are getting a race against these guys, it really helps them. In my opinion, if you would have got to watch Tyler Rice follow Augie Grill around Sayre for 6 or 7 laps before what happened, he can learn a lot from that. I mean, that then creates a more desirable field of cars like myself. I want to race with Augie. I mean, I'm not saying that I can compete with him, but I want to race with him. If he it's like, not. It's like trying to think. Somebody that I would say, like for me, Chase Bradley. If Chase Bradley's at Sayre, I want to follow him. When I'm behind Adam in practice, I follow him and try to hit some of those marks he hits and try to set my car up to be able to. It's shown I've been able to learn from that. And back in the day, riding behind my dad, and when we talk about things and try to set the car up to mimic some of the ways these guys get around the racetrack, and then some of them I throw to the curve. I'm not going to enter the corner the way Adam does. I've thrown that to the curve. I'm not going to enter the corner the way Chase does. I've thrown it to the curve. But what I did was try and see where they're in the gas, where they're out of the gas, and if I'm beating them a little bit in or a little bit off, or not able to beat them off, need to beat them in a little bit there, you get to learn from those guys. But like in that open wheel, until John showed up, there seems to be one line that you can drive in and drive off on. Well, there's not anymore. That was, I don't know what to say. The car was a rocket. So moving on from there, I'm going to talk about both Mod Light races at the same time, where Spencer Reynolds come out and set the fastest qualifier for what would be their King of Dixie race. But Justice Evans shows up, and I want to say he drove the 5 car in the first race, not the 6 car. There was a 5 and a 6, and Jeremy and Justice swapped them. Justice goes out and wins what I'm going to say is his first time in a Mod Light race. That's awesome. That's really good. Shows to you, I was talking about those guys a couple of weeks ago being able to drive anything they get in. He's one of those guys. Jeremy wins the championship. Spencer Reynolds in the 71 car won the second race. Now, at the same time, I also got taught people are listening. So be careful how you talk about things, because I said I don't like this class. Well, I never knew anybody in it. The guy that drives the 11 car in their class was like, I think he asked, we was talking about something he may have needed. And he was like, hey, ain't you the guy that said you don't like our class? Well, what do you do? I mean, what do you say my foot's in my mouth? Hang on a minute, let me get my foot out of my mouth. I didn't know any of those guys. I mean, I don't know them. Maybe if I knew them and I got to know them a little bit, I would be able to relate to what they're doing. But I was looking in the window of one of their cars. The guy parked it in the pits there to see just kind of what the inside of it was like. May get around some of those guys next year and just talk to them and see. Of course, Justice driving that one looked like they was having a blast. It really looked like they was having a blast. So congratulations to Justice, and also congratulations to Spencer Reynolds, and for fastest qualifier and the King of Dixie. Jeremy Williams is the champion in the Mod Lights. I want to say Chase Argent and the Super Street is decided already. That I believe that was their last race. And in the open wheel, I want to say it's going to be Matthew Martin, because Barry hadn't been there, and that was probably the deciding factor, the double points race right there. So congratulations to those guys. I will do a clarification after next week and make sure that I know who all is the champions each place. But so we talked about the open wheel. The road warrior was Kenny Hogan, and second place was Jamie Campbell. Jamie's a testament, I believe, to Outlaw Chassis Engineering, because they did a great job of helping him get his car turning. It was actually pretty free Saturday night. He was trying to run down Kenny, and it was actually pretty free. But Kenny was the winner, and he did a great job. Kenny always kind of does a good job in anything he's in. He's raced super streets, pure streets, hog cars, figure eights, demos from back in the day. He goes and runs endurance race. He's a racer. Kenny Hogan's a racer across the board. So congratulations to Kenny, and he always seems to put on a pretty good show. The mini mod, that, of course, is my division, and that's usually the one that does not get talked about on this podcast as much. But tonight I'm going to talk about it, or today, it's daytime, and I'm going to talk about it because I believe there's some props to be put out there. Bobby Cups drove the 48 car Saturday night, and I'm not talking about the race here when I'm talking about how good he was doing. Bobby was in the 48 car. I followed it in practice on a set of new tires. Seemed to be the least likely in the situation I get in is when breaking in new tires. You never know how free or whatever. You may spin out, do something crazy. I try to get as close to somebody that I can fade away from, but also be as far ahead away from everybody else that I'm not going to get ran over if I spin out or do something crazy. And he looked good. He really ran a pretty good line in that 48 car. Ran consistent lap times. I want to say we was in the 70s and 80s from the stopwatch, but that's That's not far off from where the car's been all year. Now in the race, he faded. I think he almost spun out and saved it down the front straightaway, and it really made it look worse than it was. I think he was in the race until that happened, but he didn't cause a caution. He didn't create a caution or anything like that. But starting out, it was Colby Fitzgerald on the pole. I ran the 48 car was in second. I was in the second row inside. The 5 car was second row outside. My dad was last. Brock Talbert fell out before the race started. He was there. I'm not sure why he didn't race. May have been a water hose that he had a problem with last week. May have been his problem this week again, or something to do with the cooling aspect of the car. But was pretty quick in practice from what was it this week? That might not have been this week. I think he did practice and something happened in practice. But somebody was telling me he was quick last week, doing some pretty good lap times. But and then I know I followed him the last portion of the race last week, so he was pretty quick in his old car again. But so we take out, and 48 car did get down in front of me, and there's a look to it that if everybody saw I was getting shoved off, what I thought was just a clutch ring or something breaking that wasn't allowing the pressure plate to disengage so I could shift gears, was not. The throwout bearing was actually seizing up, and it broke the teeth off of the pressure plate, so there were no the forks is what I would call goes into and pushes the throwout bearing into the teeth on the pressure plate, and that throwout bearing was seized up completely. So I knew I'd heard some whining the week before, and I thought it was the water pump, actually, because the nose of the water pump fell off. It didn't fall off, but kind of bent down, and everything was wonky up there. So we've been over the front and the back and now the top end of the engine. So we actually got to completely redo the things that we needed to redo over the last 2 weeks. Now, I didn't go over the top end of the engine because I wanted to. We went over the top end of the engine because we got protested Saturday night. But what I would consider by Josh Owens and the 5 car, not Chase Owens. I think Chase was in agreement with it. I don't mind it. I can't be mad about a protest when I've protested people in the past. So we shook their hand. We said, let's do it, and we did it. We had to pull the head off the car to let them see the cylinder. And so Barry checked the cylinder depth, and it lined up with what the stroke of the motor should be. I don't know if you would consider it discrepancy, but I do know that people said that isn't how you check stroke or this or that. I don't know. I'm not going to act like I know. If the man would have threw me out, I would have had to say, you got to take and look at the crank because I know it's a stock crank. Or at least look at the stock length of the rods, because I think if you had a stroker, you would have to have either a custom piston or a custom rod. That's what I was thinking. How can I dispute this if they say it's not right? So I would consider probably an aftermarket piston would have to be involved, and also possibly an aftermarket rod, but I don't think the rod length has anything to do with it. It's just strictly the travel of the journal on the crank, how far down it goes, how far up it goes, the full travel of the journey on the crank. So can that be determined by checking from top of the cylinder to the bottom? I don't know. That's what he did, and it actually came out to what the machine shop book, Patrick Benson and those guys showed us what the stroke measurement should be, and they said this is what it should be. If they're going to protest and look at the stroke of the crank, this is what it should be. You definitely don't want to get caught with your pants down. We've been hearing rumors of them checking the stroke of the engine all year. What that would mean, what that matters, I'm not sure. I know strokers and stuff in the V8s definitely matter. So as we proceed on, we was legal. No harm, no foul. We'll put the motor back together, get to go over everything, and hopefully the way it ends is the way it'll begin. We've been strong all year. We know we got to show up ready to win this week, and that's what we're going to do. So hopefully we will be able to, and hopefully it'll be a good week. I was definitely not patient with Colby Fitzgerald. Me and him talked. He's got every right to have an opinion of what happened, and it was my fault completely that me and him got together. And so I do apologize, Colby, and that's how I'll end this thing, man. We got to be more patient next week, no matter what the problems are. Um, we got to have new batteries in the system that's going dead right now. And thank you guys for watching again. Please leave your comments, like, subscribe to the channel, put the like. If you don't mind, um, like the video here and subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate you guys. Hope next week we'll have a even better podcast, and I can't wait to have some guests on and try to get this thing rolling with those guys. So thanks, and see you guys next week.